Workflows.
Workflows.
Finally. I've been looking forward to these.
We talked about them in the previous two sections. Now we have a section on workflows. So we saw two spots where they're used.
In catalog and knowledge.
And knowledge. Now we're going to talk about the workflows themselves.
Okay.
Different terminology, different states. All right, so a workflow. What's a workflow? Well, representation of the different activities that have to happen. You order a new laptop. If we have an approval, that's in a workflow. Then we have procurement, configuration, delivery. At least those three, I'd say, right?
Absolutely.
Those activities executing in sequence, got to get it before we can configure it, before we can deliver it. However, we could have a workflow that has some activities happen in parallel. The workflow we're looking at here is a model that is the structure, but each time this item that's associated with gets called from the service catalog.
Like if I order a laptop, or if I order a keyboard, or if I order a mouse.
They're each going to have a different
workflow.
Different workflow.
Okay.
If you order a laptop and I order the same exact laptop, we're both referencing the same model.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
But we both get our own context.
Our own copy of it.
Right, because if we're in different departments, the approval is going to go to a different manager.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. That makes sense.
When we want to use one and when we don't want to use one, repeatable. It has to be the same process. If it's going to depend on what I had for breakfast, we're not going to use a workflow.
Sure. Well, like you said, the whole title of this section is automation.
Automation.
Right? And that's really what it's about, it looks like.
Absolutely. Standard response, even if it's the difference of approved or rejected, but we do still have a standard based off of those two options.
Because you're doing it over and over and over and over again.
Yes.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, if the process isn't defined, I do get the question, well, it's the first time we're going to be working through this. Should I create the workflow? Do you want the workflow to define the process? Do you want the process to define the workflow?
Right. And that's really what a workflow is, right? Isn't it a visualization of your process?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then actually firing out those task records as well.
Absolutely.
So how these things can be started? Well, definitely we saw the workflow on the knowledge base and on the items themselves. So we have those workflows.
That field on the record.
Exactly.
Okay.
We can call a workflow from a workflow.
What?
So from a workflow, we can actually call out to another subflow.
I was just going to say, like a subflow.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So we could have one built that can have its own start, and we can build one on top of it that calls out to it if we meet some requirements. And so we can put different requirements on there as well.
Sure.
Whenever a table interaction, when conditions are met.
Our conditions again.
Exactly.
Okay. And that pretty much means you could use a workflow for anything.
Any table.
Yeah.
These can be scheduled, like we were looking to schedule things. We want a workflow that kicks off the first of every month. Schedule it to kick off the first of every month. Our workflow editor. This will open up in a new tab in your browser.
Okay.
And then we have tabs on here. We have the welcome tab.
So tabs within tabs?
Yes, tabs within tabs.
Okay.
We have a welcome tab that lists the workflows that we have in there. We have other than tabs that are the workflows that we have open.
So each tab would represent a workflow
model.
A workflow model. Okay.
Exactly. That's the canvas and the canvas tabs. We have the title bar telling us what the title of our workflow is. To the right, we have our palette. Workflows tab, where we can open up other workflows. Core, our activities, our core activities we're bringing in. Those catalog tasks, approval activities.
Oh, the things we're doing with the workflow.
The things that are being done.
Oh, okay.
And those things, those blocks, are activities. Transitions from one activity to the next are those arrows that we were just looking at.
Okay.
The little lines. The little lines moving from one to the next.
Okay.
The transitions. The model is what we're associating to the item, and that current model is the version that we're using for our contexts. The example where we both ordered the same laptop, we both get a context of the model.
Okay.
And that, if we're in different departments, we have different managers, the approvals are going to fire out differently.
Okay.
Once we get to procurement and things of that sort, probably all coming from IT department. Our activities, what we were looking at here, those different boxes we can bring in, and we can just drag and drop. From the right palette side, we just drag and drop these over. I'll show you when I get into it. You can drop them on a transition line, but you have to be, it's a fairly small spot.
Okay, so you have to be right on.
Right on it.
Got it.
And you'll see the little arrow turn blue. Conditions, just other activities. You know, we have if, we have a switch, we have await, right? So many other activities we can bring in, not just approvals and notifications. It's not an advanced check mark. It's an activity that is script in this one that you can go ahead and bring in if you want to execute some script.
Okay.
Our stages. We see our stages over here now. So this is the summary
This is
of
what we
where
talked
we
about
are.
earlier. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
The stages are representation of where we are.
Okay. Letting our end user know what's going on.
Letting our end user know.
Gotcha.
Our states then here.
Now this is different than stages.
This is different than yes. This is very different than stages.
Stages is for end users. States is
States is for me editing
okay.
or creating a new workflow. So let's go from the very beginning. From the beginning of creating a workflow, I go ahead and create a new workflow from scratch.
Okay.
It is checked out to me, which is an unpublished state.
Oh, okay, because it's okay.
It's unpublished. I'm creating it, which means we're not using it out on a configuration.
You're essentially building it.
We're
That's
building
what you're
it.
doing it. Okay.
We're not using it anywhere yet.
That makes sense.
I put my different activities in there. Everything's working correctly. I've tested it. I publish that workflow.
Okay.
It's published. It can be used.
Okay.
That might be the life cycle of a workflow.
Sure.
Create it, publish it. It's done and good.
Done.
If I need to get back into it to edit, I go back to my workflow editor, find the workflow, check it out.
Oh, I see. Okay.
While I have it checked out, the published version stays the same. So it can fire out
And it
all
can be
those
used?
different contexts.
Oh, okay. So even though you have is it a context, a version of it, or a model of it that you have checked out?
I have checked out.
Okay, you have it checked out, but the original is still there.
And it's still
and
being
usable.
called by all of those, whatever's calling it.
Sure. Okay.
I make whatever changes I need to. I publish. And from that moment on, when I hit publish, anything that's referencing that workflow by name is going to get the new model.
Anything new that's being ordered.
From that moment I hit publish.
Okay, but anything that's currently in flight,
those contexts are already off and running.
so they're still following the old path.
Correct.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
If we wanted to go around that up the other way, it could break a lot of things.
Oh no, I think that works well.
So checked out, unpublished, published.
Okay, and those are just the states.
States. Let's take a look at our workflow editor.
Sounds good.
Workflow, get us there. Workflow editors, where I want to go, so I went ahead and do
Why
that.
are there two?
Service level, back to different access.
Oh, okay, so they both go to the same place, like you said earlier.
Workflow editor,
Oh, okay.
what we had here, and that was the one that was under my service level management. Workflow editor doesn't even open a new tab,
Place. Okay.
just refreshes it and
Got
keeps
it.
it open. So our welcome page, our different workflows, filtered lists, published, checked out.
Oh, that's nice.
We have no workflows that are checked out currently. Help, where we can get out to docs,
Oh, sure.
other videos. So let's go ahead and bring in our service catalog item request. Our item requests are generic workflow here. Go ahead and make a copy of it, make it specific for whatever item you're going to be using.
Okay.
So here we have all of our different activities. An approval action, an approval action. If we can trace it through, they both get approved. We mark that item as approved, and then we get into those tasks, order fulfillment.
Sure.
I can't do anything to this workflow right now.
And I see the stage right on there too, right? Order fulfillment 4 days.
Yep, that's our stage right there.
Oh, okay.
We can open this up and look at it. Everything's grayed out,
It's
though.
all grayed out. Oh, you said you have to check it out?
Check it out.
Oh, okay. So right now it's just, I can look at it. I can't do anything with it.
Read only.
Read only, yeah.
So to check it out, our context menu, check out. We can copy, so we can make a new copy.
Okay.
New workflow from scratch. So we're going to go ahead and check this out.
How many people can check out a workflow at a time?
One at a time.
Just one developer can check it out. Okay.
Correct. And you'll actually see it too over here.
Oh, it shows
checked
that
out.
it's checked out.
And remember, back on the welcome page too, we had checked out. Now we have,
sure.
Now
so
we
you
have
can
one
see
here.
who has it checked out.
So now I can make changes to this. Before, I couldn't even do that.
Oh, you couldn't move it. Now you can move it.
And notice moving the blocks doesn't affect the actual transition lines, right?
They stay connected.
They'll stay connected.
Okay.
Okay, so our example here, for every single catalog item request, we are requiring CIO approval.
Okay.
We're going to say our CIO doesn't want to be bothered for every single request that goes through.
Probably a good idea.
So I can redraw these. See how I hover over the end right there
On the little arrowhead.
on the arrowhead.
And it turns like a blue square, it looked like.
Yes,
Okay.
and I can redraw
Yeah, a little blue square. Okay.
and just moving that on over to the
And
next.
now you're just dragging it to the other one.
because we're getting rid of the CIO.
We're going to
approval.
bypass. Okay, got it.
Careful though.
Okay.
Does it look like it's still connected?
It does.
I see that happen a lot. It's not actually connected going through, and you can
It's
easily
it's
test.
just sitting on top.
It's just sitting on.
And that doesn't work.
Right. So
Okay.
the actual workflow is going to drive that way.
Sure.
As soon as I check this back in, as soon as I publish it again, currently any item that's being requested is still requiring CIO approval.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and another way we can interact with these things. See if that line turns blue?
Okay.
This is delete on my keyboard.
So you clicked on it, it turned blue, and then you hit the delete key on your keyboard.
Exactly.
How do I undo that?
Redraw it.
Oh, okay. There's no undo in ServiceNow, is there?
No.
Really? No. Okay. You went over the little yellow square.
Little
you
box
dragged,
right there.
You dragged it.
And drag your transition
just drop
to
it.
wherever you want it to go.
Okay, cool.
So I'm going to go ahead and remove this transition as well, right? Because our CIO, he doesn't want to be in here anymore.
Okay.
I'm going to leave this here for the sake of the demo.
Okay.
So I'll get back to it. Something else that I'm going to change these to. I'm going to go ahead and say that we actually mark the item as rejected before we fire out the notification to the person telling them it's rejected.
Okay.
So just click here. We'll delete that. And we'll just redraw these lines. This now to end. And this over to here. I wasn't on the box. This over to here. And just to clean up the transition lines, we'll reorganize our
Okay.
boxes.
So they just automatically reorder when you move them.
Correct.
Okay.
So now we have a new issue, but I haven't checked it. We have a new workflow here, but I haven't published it yet.
Right. It's still checked out.
So still
The old one is
the old one with the CIO being
Okay.
involved. As of right. So this is what I wanted to show. This is why I left the CIO box down here.
Wow.
It automatically validates the workflow as you publish it.
So it checks it for errors.
Checks it for errors.
Validate. Okay.
So we have 14 info. That's wonderful. That's fine. We
Okay.
have 2 warnings
Oh. Okay.
and 0 critical. So nothing is like left hanging.
Okay.
I can go ahead and publish this workflow with the warnings. I hit OK. It'll publish.
Okay.
I'm going to cancel.
Okay.
So if I find something like this and I don't know exactly what it is, in this case I do.
You do. Yeah.
But we can
But
also
why does it say 2? Because you just have 1.
an in and an out. So I can also validate as I want to up here.
Oh.
So same idea. Info is fine. Warning isn't a hard stop, but it tells us validate transition out. Workflow contains 2 activity conditions without an output transition. Because we have 2 from that box, right?
Sure. Yep.
2 transitions wanting out. And then we have an activity without a condition input.
Oh. Okay.
So those are those 2 warnings we found. We can validate here, or just by trying to publish, it'll go ahead and validate
Okay.
for us. I am going to publish this. I am going to go ahead and publish,
And leave it.
leave it.
Now that won't have any impact. No.
No.
Because it's all by itself.
It's all by itself. It's floating
So it's
there.
Just floating there.
Now
in the real world,
I would delete it.
You would delete it. Okay.
What I'm going to do here is I'm going to publish it, then I'm going to go back in and make some more changes.
Okay. Gotcha.
So now we're in a published state, and once we move this up through our instance stack from dev to production, once we apply that update set, the CIO will no longer be involved.
Because the update set would have this new published version of the workflow, and it would overwrite the other one
the
in
existing
production.
in production.
Okay, that makes sense because we always want to be doing our work in
dev.
dev. That's what you taught me earlier. Yep.
And we'll get back to update sets here in just a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, so back to this being published. Can't do anything with it. Just quickly, I'm going to check it back out. Again, this is now a new checked out. So you know what? We were testing it. We want to add something.
Okay.
Let's bring in a new activity from over here. I'm going to just bring in a notification.
Okay.
Watch the line in the background. Not on it. Now it's on it.
It's blue.
Mm-hmm. So,
like when you delete it.
Exactly.
Okay.
I drop this box right here. It'll actually be on that transition. The arrow will stop.
And it'll connect.
It'll connect through it. So now I have my notification.
Okay.
I build out my notification stage. I can say if I want to bring in one of those stages.
My end users would see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm just going to submit this.
Okay.
And it's connected. From here, we fire our notification. So we can fire our notification out to our end user saying it's been approved.
Oh, okay. What if I miss the line? Do I have to do it again?
If you drop a new one on here, you don't have to bring in a new one.
No.
Just redraw the arrows.
Oh, like you showed
with it
me
to begin
earlier,
with.
just drag it from the arrowhead. Okay, I can just drag it over.
Precisely, just drag.
And then if I do want to delete it, is that what that little X is up in the top right? Oh.
Delete it.
Oh, and put the transition back in.
And it moves the transition
that's
back,
nice.
just bypassing it.
Oh,
So yeah, I left this one here on purpose so we could see the warnings.
Sure.
But really, I would go ahead and remove it.
Okay, got it.
Anything else?
I can't wait to try this. This is going to be
gonna
fun.
be fun.
Yeah.
So those were the different states, right? Checked out, unpublished, and published. Oh, what is a workflow? Using a workflow, different models, different contexts, states, and stages being two different things.
Okay.
Okay, so this lab is going to be fun.
All right, I'm going to give it a try. Thanks,
I'm gonna
Micah.
get in there and make a workflow. Zandy, how'd you like the workflow lab?
It was long, but I really liked it. That was my first time working with workflows in ServiceNow. And they're very intuitive. I can see, though, where you definitely want to have your process documented in advance and not build these on the fly.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, they're very handy, very easy to use. No, this is great. I can't wait to start playing with these workflows. Thanks, Micah.
Absolutely. And you see how it ties back into knowledge and service catalog.
Service catalog, yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you.